Hey boys, welcome back to some more Nrl Supercoach, and it's going to be the round 2 preview, pre-lockout, whatever you want to call it. And we had a look at the team list, which dropped earlier, and it's given us a lot to think about. Now, unfortunately for me, it's a good and a bad thing, because I probably can't take advantage of a lot of the potential cheapie / mid-ranges that could prove valuable this week, because I've got, I literally had two issues in the front row, which is I'll get to that in a second. But the silver lining with not being able to move on to some of these guys is a lot of them I actually think it's better to wait, and a lot of them you actually can wait an extra week. Like they either didn't play, basically they just didn't play the week before, and even some of them they're not necessarily going to make a bunch of cash. So we'll have a look at options. I mean, at the end of we do have boosts, we do have 5 boosts. The boost, there's no definitive best way to use a boost. At the end of the day, if you can make your team substantially better by using a boost, then that's the best time to use it. I mean, if you're jotting it out on paper, just looking to the future, yeah, you'd love to use a boost for the major buys, and then you'd love to save a boost for the very end of the season, and then just probably use one boost before the first price rises. But you could use 2 boosts early, you could use no boost over the buys if you got your team set up. So it all depends. But we do have the option of a boost. That's the point. And I'm pretty sure I talked about this in one of the videos, that it's a tricky one. I have been of the mindset that it is nice to save trades early, but at the same time, there's plenty of time throughout the season where, I know I've wasted plenty of trades, trading sideways or trading in a guy that's a bit 50-50, and there's so many opportunities when you look back on a season, you're like, I didn't have to trade this week, I didn't have to bring this guy in. Early in the season, though, you only get a limited amount of trades before price rises, so it's good to set your team up nice and early, because you get plenty of trades. You just have to be a little bit, after you get a few of the guys you want in, you just have to simmer slightly. But let's go through, because I mean, my team is pretty much sorts itself out, but we'll go through the other options on display as well. So the big one, I've already done the trade. Spencer Leniu is gone for Nrl May. I mean, that was basically the plan after the Vegas game. It feels like that. It feels like that game was a lifetime ago, and it works out for Nrl May. He probably, I don't know, does he get as many minutes as round 1? There were quite a few injuries in the forward pack. Hargraves probably plays a few more minutes than Spencer Leniu, but even so, at 430k, I think Nrl May is just he's the pick of the mid-ranges. He's not going to be at the top level. He's not a Tino, Payne Haas, or Adam Fennell-Blake, but for the mid-range to lower end, he's going to be the best. I would be shocked to see him regress. He's only, I'm expecting more 55, but that's still fantastic. That's still very, very good for a 430k guy. So, and he's going to have the odd game where he does play more minutes and gets a few more offloads, and he'll get a few I think he will get a few tries. He's just that type of player that can potentially have a bit of a ceiling. So I think Nrl May, everyone's going to bring him in. It makes sense. I mean, let's actually have a look. What is his ownership at now? Has this not changed? This has to be. It mustn't have updated, surely, because only 4% of teams. I don't think so. I feel like a lot more people have traded him in. I'll be interested to see, the start of round 2, how many people have Nrl May. But so the other one is Jai Arrow. Now, best case scenario, he might only miss like 4 weeks of footy, but I still think you got to trade him. I was like I said, I was going to talk about this. It's just like it's legitimately the worst case scenario because I fucking talked all preseason about the front row, how I don't want to waste trades in the front row. I just, even if guys are underperforming, I wasn't that interested in trading them out to an extent. But fucking first round, and both of my starting front rows are gone for a lengthy stint, and having to use 2 trades, that's disgusting. That's so bad. But the decision now comes, who do I trade Arrow to? Because I'm a little torn. The potential, and I am half considering it because there's a couple of good cheapies that have popped up in the front row, but they're also a little bit of a trap, I think. So let's have a quick squiz, right? Let's have a quick squiz at what we can actually afford to begin with. We got a little bit of cash, so 482. Sort by highest price. So who can we afford at the top echelon? Toby Rudolph has come into the starting lineup, but he's definitely overpriced for how many middles they have. Mark Nichols, no. We could go Thomas Flegler. I don't love it. I don't love it, but I mean, he looked pretty good, Flegler. Obviously, he scored a try, so his points are a bit inflated, but still pretty good. He would have scored, still about 50, which, I don't know. I think Flegler is a guy, you can put in and he'll do the job. I still don't love Flegler, but he'll do the job, and he's not gonna really disappoint unless he gets sin binned or he gets injured, obviously. But I think he'll do a job. He'll get his priced average. He might make a little bit of cash, but obviously the 76 is nice, but I don't see him. He's not going to turn into like a 600k forward. He might get to 550 thereabouts, but do I want to do that? That's the thing. Anyone else of note though? Obviously not Daniel Saifidi. Leo Thompson, no. Hargraves, no. Your bench is there. I mean, Frankie Molo did okay. Kamikamitha was actually pretty strong, but no, he's just never been there. Tamalolo, I will say this. It could have been worth my front row because I was heavily considering Tamalolo, and he's I can't really believe it. The fact he played 20 minutes and then spelled the rest of the game. He scored 16 points. The 11% of people that have him, this is probably, if I had Tamalolo, I wouldn't trade him out this week because I feel like he's not going to play 20 minutes again, right? He's gonna play a few more, you would think, but that would have been an absolute dagger for people that started with Tamalolo. What a disaster there. You got Griffin Neem. Even with, so how many minutes did Neem play? Because without Tamalolo playing big minutes, I didn't really watch Neem too closely, but what did he do? He only played 33 minutes. He scored 37 points for 33 minutes, which is really good, but yeah, the minutes weren't there for Neem. We'll get to a guy soon, but he played way more minutes than you would expect. That's interesting. I don't know what to make of that. Tavita Totola, who I was also somewhat considering, 37 points, bro. Not good. How many minutes did he play? Played 43 minutes. Yeah, not great. He just doesn't have any sort of attack in him. I think if you're going to go to Tola, you'd go down the list here and you would just go Kepi. You'd just go Kepi over Totola. I think Kepi played a few less minutes. I think he played like 40. What did he play exactly? Yeah, like 39 minutes. Like you would save 50k and just go Kepi. But I'm half tempted by Kepi again, just for the 40 point week on week. I don't hate it, and I'm not, because I'm obviously not making money to go up to one of the premium front rowers in the first couple of weeks. That just wasn't the way my team was going to be structured. So it's just not on the card. So I want to save money still. And that's why I'm like, do you really spend the extra on Flegler? Maybe. I looked at him before, but Jacob Saifidi, he piques the interest slightly. I talked about him in the team list. Like, the bench for the Knights is good for Jacob Saifidi. He scored 50 points, and I think he played like 50 minutes. Yeah, 51 minutes, 50 points. Like, the problem is, like, him and his brother Daniel just sort of like swap who's relevant week on week. Like, he's got the starting role, played 50 minutes, and I think he's a good player. I think both of them are good players. I honestly thought they would be a little bit more relevant as the years have gone on. A couple of years ago, I thought they were like really turning the corner, but I don't know. Is this the year for a Jacob Saifidi? 50 points, 50 minutes. It's it's only 1 week though. That's the worrying thing. Corey Jensen. So I think quite a few people are probably gonna look at Jensen. He's only 1.7% at the moment. He did score 57 points. He's a bit less than Saifidi. How many minutes? He played big minutes, though. He played 56 minutes, and they lost Pierre Cora. Paddy Carrigan moved to the back row, and that was like very early in the game. So I think the minutes are a bit inflated for Corey Jensen in this one, because typically, Pierre Cora is going to play 80 on the edge. Carrigan would play 80 through the middle, or 60 plus, and then that would take away a bunch of minutes for probably Jensen. So I think Jensen, he's solid, but if I was looking at that, I'd probably just go Saifidi. I think Saifidi is a safer bet, because Saifidi is the leader of the pack. Like, if the Knights are going to improve, they need Saifidi to set the platform and play good footy. So I'm half tempted. I'd probably rather Saifidi over Kepi. I think for similar price, Kepi's again a little bit cheaper, but for similar price, they can, Saifidi's got more upside in him. He is a try scoring front rower as well. And you do, I make a little bit of cash going from Arrow, but here's the question. Is it worth doing that? Or, again, we'll look if anyone else piques the interest. Michael Molo's pretty good off the bench. Keenan Palacia, oh god. So even Palacia, dude, like, oh my god. I was, again, he was in my team for a part in the preseason, but then the trials just put me off him. 14% of people went with him. 22 points. He came off the bench. Oh god. And now he's got the bye, so bit of a disaster there. Thomas Hazelton, he's got the potential to be such a gun, but the minutes are just going to be so low that you'd expect the odd low score that you wouldn't rely on. Offengowie, unfortunately, didn't really get the minutes. He did start, but just didn't get the minutes, unfortunately. Josh Kerr. So, again, a lot of people are going to be tempted by Kerr. He did look good, but he did have a try. Was it just a line break and a try? How many minutes did he end up playing? Again, it's skewed. He played 40 minutes, which is good, but again, they lost Connolly Lemuelu, so that shifted minutes around. Middle forwards probably played a few more minutes. He got attack. I'm just not. And the Dolphins have a bye next week as well in round 3, so I can't take the punt on Kerr. I just don't really like it. Oregon Kaufusi. I mean, Oregon Kaufusi is sort of tempting. 40 points, 44 minutes. Again, it's very off-putting just for how many goddamn middle forwards they have. So if Oregon Kaufusi was locked in for 40, 45 minutes, yeah, I think he's actually a pretty okay, like, plotter to just chuck in your front row forward and do a job. Like, sort of on the Sean Kepi mold for 40k less. But is he going to get 40 minutes every time? I could just watch here, couldn't I? I didn't even notice, but I can just look there, for God's sake. Anyone else? We're getting down cheapies, but this is my query, right? So, do I pay basically a straight swap from Arrow to another guy, Flegler for the same price or someone similar, and not really bank cash, or do I go with someone like a cheap guy? We'll have a look at him. I mean, even fucking Liam Henry looked pretty good. He played 34 minutes, 36 points. Where is he? Wait, is he any front row? Is he any second row forward? McIntyre? Maybe he is. I'm looking for McIntyre. He might only be he must be only 2RF, which does make sense, I guess. Just double check. I might be missing him. Let's just have a quick squiz. I didn't even think of this. I thought he would be for some reason, even though he's never really played front row. Yeah, he's only 2RF, so that's probably fine. I mean, McIntyre played like 50 minutes, which again, like, it's weird because he's not going to play that every week. Like, Tamalolo is not going to play 20 minutes, and the fact he played 20 more minutes than like Griffin Neem as well, it's a very strange one. So honestly, that's fine. Like, I was going to be half tempted to go really cheap and bank like a couple $100K because this is the thing, right? Again, it's a plotter position unless you're going like the top front row forwards. So if you can bank 200K and upgrade like your center wing, right? Your center wing I'm annoyed. I'm a little bit annoyed at myself for not going heavier in the center wing. Like, my center wing actually did pretty good, but like I talked about in the preseason that I feel like Supercoach is changing a bit, where the center wings, which typically you've gone like cheap in the center wings, making money, but they've turned into like the most like reliable scoring positions and like some of the highest upside. So I'm annoyed at myself for not doing that more so. But again, I think my center wing is pretty good, but I could bank 200K and be able to go up to a absolute gun, or at least another like really solid center wing option week on week. But that's the thing. I'm torn at the moment. I'm probably leaning with Jacob Saifidi at 418. I don't love it. Or do you... I mean, I could go Liam Henry. I could go Liam Henry and hope he gets like decent minutes still. Go Liam Henry and fucking either play him or Sam Hughes as my second 2RF. Again, it saves me 200K that I can then use elsewhere. Is that insane? I don't know. Like, again, you got to factor in what you're going to do with the cash and what they're going to score compared to their counterparts. Because on a good day, these type of guys, probably 40 is like on a good day. Like if they score 40 points, that's like that you're very happy with that. Like they've had a good stint. But some of the other guys, like, I mean, Flegler's already shown he can go 70 plus. Saifidi went 50, but, you know, he can score a try and go 70 plus as well. I mean, so we got to factor in. Honestly, part of me is like very tempted to do it, but do I want the three plotter fucking front row forwards? It sounds so bad. It sounds so damn bad, man. And if I did that, so the other part, if I did that with the front row forward, then I'm pretty much like locking myself in to this front row forward for a long time, because I'm not, unless like a bulk injection of cash happens, then I'm not going to be upgrading these guys anytime soon, because they're not going to make that much money. So it's like, oh, I don't know. But then I don't particularly like anyone else. That's the main reason for this. If there's anyone else of like good value, then yeah, sure. But like, I don't know, even fucking Flegler, he scored a try, but he's not going to score that many tries this year. He scored 76, which is good. It's very good for people who started with him, but I don't see it doing too much. I don't know. At the moment, let's throw in Liam Henry for now. It looks so bad. It looks so bad. But we'll throw it in, and then we'll have a look at what this cash can do for us. I mean, for one, if we use the boost, but also like in the coming weeks, because there's also like, I guess there's other money making opportunities. So in the 2RF, there's obviously there's some big guns. We have Kai Pearce-Paul and what's the other one I'm looking for? Is there someone else? I mean, I guess Joe Chan as well. Like there's potentially other money-making options. And this is the thing why I'm sort of locked in, because, I mean, I guess if I didn't trade Arrow this week, right, I could just play Sam Hughes as my 2RF, and I could trade Furmore down to someone else. That's right, Tellers Duncan, he's the other guy. But that's what I was talking about at the start, that like both of those guys, Kai Pearce-Paul probably more so, just because I think, I saw that Dylan Lucas wasn't a broken jaw. I think he just broke his nose, so he'll be right to go the week after. And if he comes straight back in and Pearce-Paul goes back to the bench, like, it's not going to be a nightmare, because Pearce-Paul is only like 350k, so it's not like you're spending 450 and he's going to lose cash. Like, he could still be okay and potentially get some minutes. But if he goes back to the bench and Dylan Lucas just starts again, like, I mean, Pearce-Paul could play like 20-30 minutes off the bench. You never know. He played 40 minutes that first week because of injuries. He now has the starting spot. And yeah, you could be like, well, if he plays well enough, he could keep the spot. Very true. But you can wait. Like, you can wait to see how he goes. I mean, I guess the nice thing with bringing him in this week is that he probably scores well. Just, it's against, I mean, the Cowboys were good last week, but I still think the Cowboys are pretty leaky defensively, and I think Ponga's going to have a good bounce-back game. Pearce-Paul, outside of him, could have an absolute field day. So that's, is one reason to bring Pearce-Paul in. Tellers Duncan, I think you definitely can wait on Tellers Duncan. I think he could score well, but like, there's no... Personally, I think there's no reason to bring Duncan in early, unless you've got no other issues. Like, if your front row's good and you can trade out like a Furmore, sure. But like a lot of the second row forwards, you got to give him another week. Like, I'm not really looking at trading Piakora or Tupanua unless they, like, especially Tupanua. Like, Piakora, as long as he's fit, he's going to play 80 minutes. Tupanua is the only guy I guess is still a little up in the air about like minutes and whatnot because of the injuries the week before. We don't exactly know what was happening with him, Wong, and Butcher on the bench. So I guess Tupanua is a guy that, yeah, if he doesn't get the minutes, then it's an easy trade out next week. Tupanua to Duncan or Pierce-Paul. Probably Pierce-Paul because of the price rise. But then you can also wait to see if he goes straight back to the bench and minutes could be affected. So there's a lot of good pickups, but it just doesn't fit at the moment. And then in the center wing, the one nice thing is that we've already got Galvin, so a lot of people might be looking to get him in. I mean, Max Plath is also a cheapie in the 5'8" you could potentially go to that I think would be pretty good. I wish he was dual. It's so annoying that he's just 5'8", but it is what it is. I wish he was hooker. But then the center wing, the obvious one is Tommy Talau. I think, again, he's playing on that Manly wing, 270k. You can wait because he didn't play last week. And for me, it's a little bit tricky because I'm just looking at the center wings I've got and I'm like, who am I going to trade out for Tommy Talau? Because I think you probably have to bring in Talau unless he does, again, unless he looks shocking out there, he might not keep the spot. But I think Saab's going to be out for quite a while with that hemi. So Talau should have the spot for a while. It's a great position to be on that Manly wing. But who do I trade out? Like, Taylor May is definitely staying. Ben Trebojevic is definitely staying. And then, I mean, Tuivasa-Sheck, I guess if Tuivasa-Sheck doesn't hit his straps, you could look at downgrading him, but it doesn't feel like, I don't know, like if he's getting 50s, it's pretty good. Like, I'm not disappointed with 50s when he doesn't have a line break or a try. And then Tuapiki, I mean, I guess after his price rise, if he's straight out of the team, I guess you could just downgrade him. Because, I mean, Bostock, out of the other ones, it probably comes down to either, Bostock or Tuapiki if I'm looking at it. And it's not gonna make you a bunch of cash, which is the problem. I'm praying that either Tuapiki or Bostock absolutely kill it in the next 2 weeks and are able to make a bunch of cash that going down to Tommy Talau can net you like 100k or so. That would be the ideal. And then, there's not, looking at center wing, there's a few. There's definitely a few that are like on the radar for sure. Definitely a few on the radar. I mean, they're expensive. I mean, you've got Zach Labert. I know people are going to be clamoring to get Labert in, and I get it. Someone said to me as well, like I could bring Ben Trebojevic up and trade Fermor out for Labert, which, yes, I could do, but I think he's already scored his 100. Like, they're taking on Newcastle, who weren't great, but yeah, if he goes another 100, for sure, like, I should have brought him in, but I just think, give him another week, just see how he goes against a little bit better defenses, and make your decision. Again, if he kills it, then yeah, you probably have to bring him in next week at 465k, but I don't think it's a pressing issue. I think people get a little bit too bound up in like a big score and think you have to bring him in, but it's a little bit of chasing last week's points, but also it's not. I mean, again, if you got the trade, then sure. If you don't have any other issues, then make those luxury trades and get your team set up nice and early, I think without doubt, because again, you got a few opportunities to make money while you can. And I think Labert, he's a good player. I mean, that's the other major thing with Labour. He just looked really good. He looked really good last year when he played a couple of games. He looked fantastic last week. So on the eye, very good player to watch. He's got a Supercoach friendly game, but it's very like Holmes and Labour both going 100, and Murray Tuolangi like three out of the four centre wingers scored 100. That is extremely unlikely to happen most weeks, right? I mean, Holmes you would expect to go the best most weeks, and then probably the Labour behind, but they're not going to keep going hundreds. That's insane. I mean, Lomax is also on the radar, but they do have a really juicy matchup this week again against the Dolphins, and they actually have a good draw for the opening few rounds. I remember looking at this before. I'm like, I'd like to see him against a bit better defensive sides, but they got Manly, who could be pretty good. Newcastle might hit a bit of form, but again, like none of these real defensive powerhouses. Then Tigers, Warriors, Roosters, Sharks, Rabbits, Bulldogs, or Bulldogs. So it's a very good start for the Dragons, and then it gets tougher. Probably Panthers, it gets a bit tough around here, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely some guys I would like to bring in for sure. It's just I'm just undecided because that making the money is nice. I'm gonna be tossing and turning on this one. I'm gonna be tossing and turning on this because I don't. Is it? It looks awful. I've got 3 reserve front row forwards. Terrell May's an exception, but 3 out of the 4 aren't even starting. And then Farmasili plays 20 minutes. It's like, it's disgusting. But I don't know. Like, is it worth going up to Flegler, Saifidi, but netting that 240k? I can do a lot of things. I mean, again, in the second row, I could go up to like an almost keeper in the second row if I wanted to, instead of going down to someone. I'm probably more likely to go up in the center wing. But yeah, that's a tricky one. So if I look now, right, 240k, make those 2 trades. Next week, let's say next week all goes to plan, nothing crazy happens. What would the trades be? Because obviously it's a big week to make trades. You'll get, like I said, Tommy Talau. I still don't think you don't have to bring in Talau straight away. You can definitely hold on for Talau. Kai Pearce-Paul, you'll have to make it. Well, you don't have to, but it'll be pressing to make a decision. If Pearce-Paul is starting next week again, I mean, he's a lock. But if he's on the bench, like, I don't know, you probably don't go him, right? That's the thing. Tallis Duncan, like, you can wait on him, and I don't know if like I've seen a few things that now Host is probably just was dropped, like he wasn't injured. They've just dropped Host and now Tallis Duncan might get that spot long term. So if that's the case, then sure, I could definitely see myself going early. But then who do I drop? Do I drop Fermor? Like, he's got the bye this week. It seems very stupid to not trade Fermor this week on the bye and then trade him out next week when he's back in action. Because what is the draw like for the Titans anyway? After the bye, yeah, they got the Dogs, Dolphins, Cowboys, Raiders, Manly. Like, it's a pretty good draw coming up for the Titans, even though the form isn't great. But I still don't mind Fermor. I guess it comes down to Tupanua. Tupanua, if he gets the minutes, then I'm not going to trade him. But if he doesn't, then I guess he's an easy trade out. Sean Lane, I mean, I'm sure people are going to trade out Lane, but I mean, he played 80 minutes on the edge. Like, I'm not too worried. And then Morgan Smithies barring anything drastic, he's a keeper. So it's pretty much just a center wing. Like, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I actually think that is what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to just go fucking small in the front row forward. I think so. I think I'm just going to go really light in the front row forward, and then I have to make the decision, do I play Sam Hughes or Liam Henry? I don't know, dude. Doggy's playing Sharks, Penrith playing Parramatta. I don't know. Who knows? But do that, and then any other cash I make, because my halves are set. I mean, if at the moment, like, I'm not really considering trading out Cleary or Hines, or even Dylan Brown for that matter. But I mean, if Hines has another shocker next week, then I mean, yeah, I could see myself looking at trading out Hines, because like, it's not that he's gonna lose cash, but you could just make so much cash on him and then potentially get him back in, which I don't know. It's a bit of a... Again, money is king. Like, the opening few rounds, it is very important to sort your team out and just set it up. But you also don't, like, I don't want to keep wasting trades. That's the thing. So at the moment, like, and I think they will bounce back. So my halves are pretty much set. Like, honestly, I don't know. It could happen that they have another shocker, but like, they're pretty much set. My fullbacks are pretty much set. Like, yes, again, if Ponga has a shocker and if other fullbacks are killing it, then you could look at going to a guy that's going well and is less money. Yes. The only other thing is the centre wing to really worry about. And then once the centre wing is sorted, then, yeah, we can worry about potentially looking at the front row forward at some point and upgrading it. But I don't know. I'm torn because I mean, if I had 240k, I could go Tuivasa-Sheck to anyone, and that would be nice. I could go. I mean, let's just have a look. We would have not quite enough for Bostock. We would have like 560. Let's just have a look at any centre wings around that 560 mark, because I don't really want to trade out Tuivasa-Sheck if I can help it, just because I think he's just going to be such a safe option every week. 560. I mean, you're probably getting a little bit. I mean, yeah, Talakai. I could almost afford Talakai. I think 569. It'd be close. Kyle Felt, Tupou, Rapana. I mean, Rapana playing fullback, like, he's not the worst. He's not the worst. Blake Wilson, Murray. Yeah. Probably not quite enough. I think if you're gonna spend, I guess Zach Labert. Zach Labert, 103 points. Don't mind if I do. So yeah, if he goes well, then for sure I'd probably just get Labert in for fucking Bostock. It looks good on paper. But if not, then you probably just want to save a bit more and go up to a Lomax, or I mean even a Joey Manu. Like, Joey Manu looked good. And, like, I'm probably going to be... I know Origin's a long way away, but I'm probably... The fact that I've already missed out on Val Holmes' 100, and he's already very expensive. He's going to play Origin. I'm probably going to look at guys that aren't going to play Origin. So, I mean, Ruben Garrick, even... Joey Manu and Zach Lomax, all very good options at that expensive price next week. But again, we shall see about that. I was going to look at one other thing. That's pretty much it. It's just a matter of, if I end up doing this with the front row forwards, because if I do end up doing it, I don't hate doing this for another reason. The other reason is because Liam Henry seems like he's a pretty decent, cheapy front row forward prospect, right? Like, is he going to be Lindsay Smith of this year? Maybe not quite. Like, Lindsay Smith was banging out 40 points. Like, he went pretty well. I don't think Liam Henry is going to be that, but you never know. You never know. I mean, he looked good. He played decent minutes. And, you know, Fisher Harris and Leota, he loves to give them rest when they're going well. So I can see Liam Henry getting more minutes. But the fact is, if I do this, right, and then if I'm able to make more cash, like let's say, yeah, Piers Paul gets another start next week, and he's, you know, you got to bring him in, then okay, maybe I do trade Fermor, so that I make another 100k there, or I trade, I don't know, if something else happens, yeah, I can make another bit of cash on one of those guys, or even a cheapie on Talau in a couple of weeks. So I'll make a bit more cash there. After we make a bit more cash, then I could just trade like a Farmer-Silly up to another decent front row forward. So again, I'm going to be potentially doing 2 trades, but I would potentially do a trade. Like, I'd be wanting to get rid of Farmer-Silly anyway, and I was thinking about getting like a Liam Henry in regardless as that cheapie, or just nothing out. So I'm torn. That's the thing. That's the thing. But at the moment, this is what I'm leaning towards. It doesn't look pretty, but I still, like, the main components are there. I just need my guns to go well. If the big boys go well, it doesn't fucking matter if the front row is underperformed. Like, it's fine. If fucking Cleary and Hines and Brown and Ponga can go big, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But that's what we're relying on. That's the pump we took at the start of the year, going the big boys up front. Didn't work round 1, but hopefully they bounce back in round 2. I guess before we end it, we'll talk about vice captain captaincies, which is another big talking point. So obviously the Cleary Hines bounce back well and truly on. Ponga and Trbojevic always captaincy options. So let's have a look. So, Broncos Rabbits first game, don't really have anyone of note there. Sharks Bulldogs is second game up. So Hines against the Dogs, it's just too good to pass up. I'm not going to straight captain him. I think I got to chuck the vice captaincy on him just because, like, you just got to, right? I'll put the vice captaincy on him. And then for the captaincy, obviously I can't go Cleary. Ponga is taking on the Cowboys, which I definitely don't mind. I mean, the Cowboys were really good in round 1, but they can concede some points. I mean, Ponga against his old boys, like, I like the Ponga bounce back, and also Tommy against the Roosters. Tommy's probably like a safer play, just in terms of, like, if Manly and the Knights both lose and they don't play at their best, Tom's probably going to score more points just based on his base. Like, he's looking really involved round 1. He takes a lot of carries. Like, he's always up and about. Ponga can drift in and out of games, but I think out of these 2 games, I think the Knights are more likely to put points on. So I'm leaning Ponga. I'm leaning Ponga as the captain. Again, a bounce back. Surely. What are the odds that both these guys go terrible again, right? What are the odds? Oh, yeah, but we'll see about that. So yeah, that's pretty much done and dusted. Like, having to use 2 trades in the front row in the fucking first week of trades is an absolute dagger to the heart. But at the end of the day, Terrell May is going to be a potential keeper till the end of the year, unless you bank a lot of cash, you can go up to the big boys. But I think Terrell May, you just plug and play every week. It's just the second option. I don't know. What do you do? I'm torn. but it's still annoying having to trade another front rower so early. And that's the thing. I'm sort of like, again, I keep talking about the front rowers. It shouldn't be such a fucking talking point, but I just hang on these fucking just jokers for a long time. And then late in the season, when we make a lot of cash, then just trade one of them up to a gun and then lock and load. Terrell May, a gun, and then one of these other guys that are going okay. And then we don't have to waste any more trades on the front rowers. I don't mind that. That's why I am leaning towards just going cheap, but I could change my mind. I could change my mind. I'm not gonna lie. I could just go up. Out of the other guys, probably Saifidi is the guy I'm thinking is probably the best value at the price and the potential points. Don't hate. So I'll make the decision, but anything else, I mean, my sit starts sort of pick themselves. Tommy Trbojevic is a play. Cleary, Smithies, and Lane. Like, it's a pretty strong 17. Like, my only real, like, Liam Henry or Sam Hughes, like, yeah, that's weak, but the rest of it's pretty good. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with it. I guess the centre wing, Taylor May, definite. Ben Trbojevic, I mean, he's still playing on the edge. You got to play him. Tuivasa-Sheck, got to play him. Tuapiki against the Storm. You could take a punt on like a Bostock against the Dragons. Ethan Strange against the Tigers, maybe? Maybe Ethan Strange, you could. I wouldn't go Yagai against the Bronx. But I mean, Tuapiki's the safe play again, just because he's going to get the base stats at fullback. But, I mean, the Storm's defense was really good, so I don't know. Do you take a punt on Ethan Strange? You could do. He scored 28 points. He did nothing last game. The Tigers didn't look great in their second trial, and they're going to have a very inexperienced halves pairing. So, I don't know. I could see myself taking a little punt there on Strange and sitting Tuapiki, but that's really the only decision to make. So, the rest of it picks itself. Just a matter of what I do with the front row, but yeah, hopefully guys enjoyed. I know I banged on too much about the front rowers. It's the only real concern with the team. I'm pretty happy with the team overall. Yeah, I guess I didn't even talk about Joe Chan as well. There's too many second rowers and not enough spots, man. They all went shit for me. Well, I mean, Smithies went well, Lukey went pretty good, but all the others went terrible. But I'm still pretty happy with all of them. 6 very playable 2RFs. I don't know. Any given week they could score a try and go 70 plus. So I'm just riding. Hopefully they perform this week. And I mean, worst case scenario, if Tupanua should be right. I mean, Pierre Core is probably the only guy that maybe doesn't play because of the head knock. In that case, we'd just start Smithies and then put the reserve on. Yeah, we just put it on probably Strange and keep Tuapiki in there. Don't hate it. So, yeah, I think it's fine. It's just, yeah, what do I do with the front row? But yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. Hopefully, God, we gotta have a bounce back week, dude. We gotta have a bounce back week. I think everyone, a lot of people that went similar to my team with the guns, don't get disheartened. I feel like it's a big week coming. Don't worry about it. It's gonna happen. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, I'm back. I know I just did my ending to the video, but it's the next day. I thought I was thinking about just not worrying about this, but I thought, you know what? I'll add this on to the end of the video. So it obviously won't change for you guys watching, but I thought I was thinking about the front row. I still was very unsure. I'm still a little bit unsure, but I came up with a decent little solution to not knowing who to go to this week, and that is we're going to go, at the moment, again, it could change. Well, it could change depending on one thing, I guess. But Terrell May, straight in, obviously, but for Jai Arrow this time. And Spencer Leniu is still there at the moment. So what I'm thinking is Nico Hines. I want to vice captain Nico Hines. Like I think this week he is either the best vice captain or straight captain, but it is a little bit concerning to straight captain him after last week, if I'm honest, even against the doggy. So I would love to vice captain him, and I could, because I got Bo Fermor still in the side, and I could obviously, if Hines goes massive, I could have brought Fermor in, but I'd have to drop a back rower, which again is like, it's dangerous because, like, yeah, the back row stunk last week, but any of these guys, if they actually play, they could go 100 plus. Like, they could score 2 tries. So it's a bit risky to drop a back rower for it. So instead, we can wait. And obviously, I had to get rid of Jai Arrow because the Rabbitohs play in the first game of the round. The Roosters play late, so it doesn't matter. If Hines goes well, and honestly, the fact I'm doing it this way, if Hines goes, honestly, if he goes close enough to 100, 95 plus, I'm probably going to take the loop. I probably will, just because of, I just like to get a nice solid one on the board, if I'm honest. If he gets like 80 points, I'm probably not going to, but it would be annoying. I'm just hoping he can come out and have a big game. And if that happens, then I've got Spencer Leniu. I'll keep him for this week because he's not going to lose money or anything, so it's fine. And that case, I would just get the basically free loop, because I was heavily considering just trading Leniu to Liam Henry anyway, right? So I was going to have to play Sam Hughes or Liam Henry, who might only score like 30 points. So I'm going to be dropping a front rower rather than a back rower that has the upside to score big if things go well. So that's now the plan. It's going to save a trade, and the other big reason for this is, like, I just don't know who I want to go to in the front row at the moment. And I think boosting in round 3 is an ideal time to boost. Obviously, if you get teams sorted and you don't need a boost, then yeah, save the boost. But typically, round 3 before the price changes, it's going to be a great time to boost. And looking at the players I'm looking at trading out, it's like a lot of them, like the 2RFs, like Kai Pearce-Paul, yes, maybe he comes in, but Tallis Duncan, you can definitely wait on. Like, his price isn't going to change. Like Tommy Talau, a good cheapie, but his price isn't going to change that week as well. So you can wait on these guys. So it's not like I have to make this second trade to sort of catch up with myself. Like the rest of the team, there's no one like jumping out as being like a trade out at the moment. So I like this, and it gives me another week to look at Liam Henry. If his minutes are good, like if he's playing like 30, 35 minutes and he's scoring 35 to 40 points, like, yeah, sure. Honestly, I probably will just bring him in next week for Leniu and run cheap in the front row. But if his minutes look worse, or there's someone else that comes out and looks okay, then I'll reconsider. And then obviously we have the boost if needed, that we need to make a bit of cash if we want to get in a better center wing. So there's options. So I thought, yeah, we'll add this on to the end of the video, just because, I don't know, I was keen to talk about it, because it's I like the idea now. I was just so undecided. I'm still undecided, but I think this way I can get another free look at it. All I need, the problem though, if Hines doesn't go well, then I probably will just have to trade out Leniu. And I mean, I guess I don't have to, but at the same time, there's no reason not to trade Leniu out this week. And I'd probably just bring him Liam Henry. I still think he's going to be a pretty solid, cheapy front row option. Nothing amazing, but I don't know. they're slim pickings, that's for sure. Or we just spend up a little bit, use our money, and bring in someone more solid, but we'll decide that. Hopefully Hines just kills it and we don't have to worry about it. It didn't work in the first round of hoping one of the captains went big, but hopefully this week it does. So there's another end to the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.